Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. Quick mention again about our merch store is open. The new design's up, atlamerch.com. If you feel the need, head on over and we got some cool stuff going on there. A while back, we were down at Good Guys Del Mar. We saw a car, well, we actually saw a lot of cars, but we met this guy, Jim here, from Lakeside Speed and Shine out in Havasu. We lucked out, you're in town for the quarantine cruise this weekend, and you brought out not only the Camaro that we wanted to shoot, but you brought out this one as well. So let's dig in on this bad boy. 67?
66.
66.
Yep.
You were saying off camera about, give or take, about 6 years ago, you started this, completed it about 4.5 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was about 6.5 years ago we actually started the project. The owner was interested in basically his first pro touring car put together. So they had a car, parts of a car, basically.
That's what I was just gonna ask you. Yeah. How good was the donor car?
Literally drug it out of a cornfield in Kansas. So he brought it to me on 2x4s pretty much to drag it out of his trailer because there was no running gear underneath it. 60% of the sheet metal of this car got replaced basically by the time we got down to it. Once we got the car media blasted and cleaned up, there was a lot of sheet metal repair before we even got to start going forward with the car, to get it back to a sound structural car again. So
let's pop the hood, because I kind of like to start here oftentimes. Boy, that couldn't be simpler and cleaner.
Yeah, we wanted exactly that, simple and clean. Basically, the whole statement of this car is subtle, understated, but just absolutely over the top, detailed.
Like everything I see, the firewall, the inner fender wells, is this you guys all hand fabbing?
So the suspension, the front inner fender well sheet metal is a complete kit from TCI Engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, this is their complete IFS Pro Touring front suspension kit. It's their box subframe, tubular supports, their inner fender wells that replace the actual weld-in style stock Nova ones that we cut out when we go to this level. So that's why the strut bars are in there to basically rigid up the front suspension. That's their tin work. We go through the efforts to make it look like it's actually supposed to be in the car. But
I get it. And we'll get more into suspension, but as I'm sitting here staring at the Holley Sniper on top, what is your engine here?
It's a build LS1 by Colby over at Turnkey Engine Supply. It was originally roughly around a 400 horse LS1 setup. You know, these second gen bodies are a super light car. 400 plus horsepower. When we originally started this build process, I thought it'd be a great entry level, get in the car and be able to drive it everywhere, get 20 miles to the gallon, actually starts up every time with no issues.
And still do a burnout when you want to, 100%, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely no problem. Spin the tires whenever you're sitting at a stoplight. You know, the build, as we can tell, kind of escalated, as they tend to do. So the conversation circled back around to horsepower. So that's where Magnuson came in. So basically going to this with that pulley, that system, we're right around 550 at the crank, and that pushes this car around no problem.
This is one I swear, and some of you guys like to give me trouble about this, and you just have the hell at it. I really don't care. Intended purpose of a build. What are you planning on doing with the build? Are you gonna go out and drift? You need 1,000 horsepower to get the car to come around and hold it and all that stuff. You need that kind of power in there. You're gonna cruise it from Cars and Coffee back home, go meet up with your pals and drive for 25 miles. Do you really need 1,000 horsepower? Are you ever gonna even come close to using the 1,000?
Yeah, never touch it.
So in my opinion, personally, 550-ish at the crank, bitchin'. You're 450-ish at the tire.
Stoplight to stoplight is still going to put a smile on your face, and you can still jump in the car. It runs 190 degrees. You can drive it to Vegas and back and not have a question about whether it's going to start up when you get to the valley. So,
that's rad.
So that's what we like to do. And I know I sound like the anti-hot rod builder when I say 500 is plenty. Somebody needs to go for a ride in a car that's got a true 500-600 horsepower before they ever open their mouths on that situation.
Jim, I couldn't agree more with you, man. What is it made to transmission-wise on here?
This has a Gearstar. It's a 4L65 package that they put together. You know, overdrive transmission, electronic shifter. We put paddle shifter setup that we put in it, and they're actually Bluetooth. Company called HGM creates this Bluetooth paddle shifter system that works with this transmission
so
control.
If you want to paddle through,
you can go through in your manual settings on your shifter, and then if you just switched over into sport and you push the button on the paddle shifters come in. So you can
slick. You know, two things that I think a lot of people don't put enough attention to detail on is wiring and plumbing. And I'm looking at your plumbing over here, and it is friggin' beautiful.
Those are two of the main things that we really focus on. My guys back at my shop are absolutely OCD about the electrical, wire connections. We use weather packs, mil-spec products. Everything is heat shrink. All our stainless is done in-house. We make all of our own brake lines. We do all our own stainless exhaust systems. We do our own AC lines and plumbing in-house.
Dude, if you weren't detailed enough as a builder to go OCD crazy on your plumbing and your wiring, what's the quality of this build? Might be fine, but it might not be.
Yeah, I've seen many a car, you pop the hood and you know, the spaghetti up on top and it's all there. Car does everything it's supposed to do and it's done that for 10 years. But in my opinion, it's not so much even even the cleanliness of it, it's the serviceability of it. It makes a huge difference in what we can service it.
I'm always curious, especially like a little bit tighter of a compartment here. Not bad, right? But like header exhaust setup.
TCI actually makes their own headers. They've done the homework, which made it's just so much easier for the end builder and for the shops.
Do you guys do your own exhaust work
Yes.
from the header back?
Yes, we build all our own stainless systems in-house. This one's got a fully polished 2.5 stainless system. We use MagnaFlow mufflers on it. Or we were trying to keep the outside of the car looking pretty stock. I didn't want to do any exposed, fabricated exhaust tips, anything like that. So we just tucked it right behind the rear bumper. We made a rear filler panel, and it's notched, and it just drops down right below that. So it's got a nice little fitted spot for it. But the rest of the exhaust, this car is actually completely finished underneath with all the white, color shaded, buffed and polished and everything. So top side, bottom side looks the same.
Excuse me on this one because I'm not a mechanical guy. So a Nova's a subframe car. It's not a full frame car, correct?
Yes.
Subframe connect to, and then what's your rear suspension on this?
This is their 4-link kit. They basically completely engineer a whole kit from the subframe connectors, tie into both pickup points, all the way into the 4-link in the back with the panhard bar. This car.
By the way, I'm going to point out because I know you guys, and you're going, he didn't know anything about cars. He didn't know it's a subframe car. You're right. What does it go to rear end wise on the car?
It's got a Curry 9-inch setup. Again, this car's air ride, so they've tabbed it, Curry built it out. It's been narrowed 4 inches on this car to fit with the mini tubs that we did on it. We run a 305 rear tire on it. It could fit a 315, but 305 is comfortable. I can air it out. I can drive it around, air it down pretty low, and still actually keep everything good.
What's it geared at out there?
It's got 373s, I believe, in the back of it with cars.
Still, you're not up in the fours where you're, $4,000 on the freeway.
It's 2,300 at 75 miles an hour. I think it just cruises. So yeah, it's perfect for that.
I love the cleanliness of on the firewall. How the only thing I see is a master mounted there. Is it a manual brake setup or is it? It is.
Manual brakes. I'm not a fan of the hydro systems. I'm not too much of a fan of the boosters because you need the diameter to make a power booster work properly. And these guys that are running these 6 and 7-inch diameter boosters are not doing themselves any favors. The cars, they're actually harder to stop than a manual brake car because it doesn't have enough assist to actually help with the braking systems. A lot of guys are scared of manual brakes because they feel like you got to stand on them to put them to the floor. Well, that's obviously piston size in your brake or caliper size or rotor size. Your combination's off. If you get the combination right, a manual brake system is, in my opinion, the perfect way because you're the input. It's all based on what you apply to it. There's so many power steering systems and the hydro assists, they never feel connected to you. There's always some void. You don't have the control of it. So every car I build, we do master.
Thanks for going as deep into that as you did because most of the builders I know really do prefer a manual setup. One of the reasons I've also heard is you have a lot less likelihood of ever having any form of brake failure whatsoever.
When they build a manual system, you have to take all of it into consideration. Like I said, the length of the pedal to the piston size and that, line size on all of your brake lines, including the rubber size, and caliper size. Woolwood's been doing this stuff for a long time. They wouldn't sell a package if they didn't think that package was intended to do what they needed to do. They're a racing brake company. I mean, that's what they want to do.
Now, what air ride system's on here?
It's the AccuAir E-Level system. This one's actually got the RideTech shockwaves on it all the way around.
It does?
Yes.
I'm not a big airbag guy, especially with the older setup of airbags where it's bouncy going down the road, and the only time it's bitching is when you stance the car out. But as I understand how the shockwave works is no matter where you're set on the ride height, you're always on the shock. You're not sitting on the bag.
Exactly. The thing about the bag is it doesn't rely on the bag air pressure. So it's not like where the old mini truck days where you had to put 150 pounds in the bag to get the lift you needed and you're riding down on a brick. These ones are a little bit of a compromise only because there's just very minimal location to mount shocks on these cars. So it's a packaging issue. You just have to just accept that.
You mentioned briefly about tires. I know you got a 305 back here. What are the wheels, tires, width, all the different stuff? If you can remember, I know it's been a minute.
This one's been a while. I'll have to go back and scratch the surface a little bit on that one. But these are the Budnik. It's called the Gasser wheel. We had it finished, a Cerakote finish on the silver faces. The fronts are 19 by 9s. The rears, I believe, are 20 by 12s. Front tire size, I believe it's a 245, 35, 19, I believe, and then the 305, 20s in the back. This was, for us 6 years ago, putting 20s under a second-gen Nova was considered edgy.
It's funny how much it changes.
Progression
in a
has changed drastically. Normally these cars would be 17s and they would look big on them.
I have a tendency to almost always lean towards a 5-spoke racing looking wheel. I'm not a big decorative guy, but God, bitchin' choice, man. Budnik.
They build them custom spec to us, up to a 1/16 of an inch of backspacing adjustment, however we want them placed. Everything's completely adjustable on them, so it makes for a nice custom setup.
As far as like any body mods and stuff, like the first thing that catches my eye is the cleanliness of this grille. Is that an original grill or is that something else?
So it is an SS grill. We actually cut the black sections out of the lowers. Normally I don't like color radiating through a grill, but with this car, for some reason, and the white and the crispness of the white of this car, I actually liked seeing the body color behind the grill. Normally I try to hide it and make it all go away and just have black behind the grill. But this car just came out clean, so we wanted to open up the windows a little bit. So we actually opened up the windows in the grill frame. We took the bumpers, we tucked and tightened the bumpers, shaved all the bolts off of them, put all bracketry on the inside, had those all re-chromed.
Which just dramatically changes the look of a car, dude.
Without altering
Even if you didn't do the
thing.
tucking, which obviously you did, but just getting rid of that exposed bullshit all over the bumper.
Hardware
you know?
everywhere. We wanted it how the manufacturer should have tightened it up and tucked it and fit,
Dude,
but they never did, obviously.
So on point, bro.
This car, body mods wise, it's actually fairly minimal. We actually got rid of just the cowl vents. We did do the Kindiga door handles on this one.
Yeah, I noticed that.
When they first came out with those, that was, when I saw them, I thought that was a perfect alternative for muscle cars because in my opinion, I hate shaved handles on muscle cars. Muscle cars have to have handles of some sort. So when I saw those, I thought that was an awesome piece.
Brother, I'm with you like crazy. The other thing, you know, I noticed you guys are pretty anal about your gapping.
Yeah, that's my pet peeve. I came from body and paint, so for me that was instilled early and beat into my head.
Yeah,
if
dude.
you don't get the gaps right, nobody's gonna look at the rest of the car.
The mirrors, is that stock?
Yeah, those are actually factory mirrors.
Just cleaned up.
We just had them re-chromed when we had all this bright work chromed on this car instead of using just a stainless. So all the trim work and everything actually was sent to chrome.
Chrome is hit or miss for me personally, just whatever. I'm another dude with an opinion.
Yeah.
This car, the white with the red and chrome, the simplicity of it, and then you brush out the centers of the wheel.
It still has what I would consider the 60s kind of feel with the chrome trim on the car. And
totally. This is another one, like oftentimes people will make the choice to remove drip rails. I'm cool with that. I also like when they do the shadow drip rail, where it kind of gives the look of it, but it's really not there.
Yep.
And then just full on leaving it, but making it flawless, perfect.
It goes back to the fitment aspect for me. If I can't get it to fit right, I'm gonna make it go away.
Curious about, I mean, I don't know if it's the way the light's hitting it or if you did what I have a feeling you might have done, but all the body lines look sharpened. Like it all looks.
I peak all of my body lines and crispen up all of my body lines. I'm the guy that walks around the car shows and analyzes how I see a shadow line drop and what light reflects off of every line. As you can see with this, even in a white car where normally you couldn't see those images.
No.
This still creates a shadow line and a highlight line.
I've never really noticed this line, especially coming around the wheel well.
I create what probably wasn't really ever there in a car because the stampings might not have been perfect from Chevy when they were doing them, or depending on what the case was, or they just didn't see what I wanted to see and highlight certain aspects and get rid of other lines on it. So for me, this car being exactly like it is, I wanted it to absolutely appear like a stock Nova body.
Yeah.
We just wanted everything as crisp and sharp as possible. So you know, when you're doing an undershaded color, you have to make the rest of the car, the details pop.
Hey, this bumper again, I mean, just looking back here, all the hardware from it gone, it's all fitted nicely. Like, you nailed it, bro. Is a lot of what you've done is what the manufacturer should have done.
Well, yeah, if they were building luxury
I mean.
Novas back in the day, or something that maybe they would have spent a little bit more time and attention to detail. But when these cars went down the road, they were grocery getters and they were an economy car. This was considered the economy car. The Nissan Sentra of the day. That's what this was.
Yeah,
nobody's going to spend that kind of time or effort to put that car down the road and that kind of production. But now we see them as what they are, and
we've got rolling art now. All right, let's jump in here, man, because this is. What are these seats from, dude?
So these seats are actually Acura seats. Mark at Elegance Auto Upholstery did this car, and in my opinion, I've done a lot of cars over the years, and this still to this day it's got to be my favorite upholstery I've ever had done in the car. It's got lumbar, it's got obviously full power adjustment.
God, it's so good, man. This color combo of the gray sitting against the red against all the chrome.
And bringing the stainless into this just brings it off the windows and off the trim, right? That's what we were shooting for.
And the mixture of patterning and stuff, I mean.
Yeah, his diamond stitch is beautiful, the work that he does on that. This car's got full power windows all the way around.
Is that like German weave, like the Porsche weave kind of stuff?
Yep, German square weave carpets.
Oh my God,
all the way through.
Oh my God, what an interior, brother.
Yeah, I did full.
This is exceptional.
Full Alcantara headliner, everything was done. Mark's level of work. He's obviously he's the guy. He's won most beautiful roadster multiple times with his cars.
This is bitchin', dude. I've been in a lot of rad interiors. I mean, I've been in a lot of Gabe's cars, avant-garde cars. This is one of the finest interiors I've ever seen in my life, brother.
His fitment and the lines, again, I use that word a ton, but that's all we were really focusing on, and Mark just killed it. I wanted the iPad. Basically, the iPad controls the air ride, it controls the audio system, it has the navigation in it.
So that's a mini iPad there?
Yep, just a mini iPad that we've auto wired in, hardwired in, so it charges with the car and everything turns off. And it's still removable, so we can upload and do everything else.
So is this full custom dash up here, or is this?
It's actually absolutely not. The Nova dash is still all Nova dash. There's a non-AC car, so we actually integrated the rectangular registers into that dash that normally just didn't have anything. And we put the push button start, obviously. We filled all the holes in the dash and basically recreated our own, but it is all still original Nova dash. We painted the dash with the matte finish to match all the red leather, everything. So whether it looks wrapped or looks finished, we wanted it all to have that soft, subtle edge to it. You know, obviously we went with the Dakota
Bro,
digital
this is
gauges.
exceptional. That's what it is, Dakota Digital?
Yeah, full Dakota Digital, all vintage air,
air
system on that. You know, the norms that we usually run through on these things. Nothing in here looks like it was like taken from another car and placed in here. It just fits the car.
When we go drive, you're gonna hear me seriously geek out, because as much as I love all the elements that make up a complete build, my favorite part of cars is the interior, because where do we spend our time?
Oh,
right?
100%. If you're gonna drive these cars, we've got to make the interior nice.
Is this your fuel filler?
Yes, we got rid of the fuel filter off the side of the quarter panel, which was one of the biggest things I hated.
Clean it up, get rid of the door.
The worst part, it wasn't even a door. These actually had just a screw-on round gas cap right on the side of the door. So it was.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, there was not even a recession or anything. It was literally a round gas cap.
Just a thing sticking
out the side of the quarter panel.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I am blown away by this.
Yeah.
Elegance Interiors, what it's called?
Mark at Elegance Auto Interiors. Yeah. He even went to the German score, even all the pocket holes, so we don't see
my
that.
God, I
because you can never really paint that
before.
really amazing. That was the biggest thing you always hate when you paint these cars. You get the overspray in there, you can never make it look pretty inside of there. So he came up with the idea of just filling the panels so we could still make it look like a stock deck lid.
And then I assume these panels are covering like battery,
audio, air ride. The battery's aside on that one. These are all actually the Fessler taillights, LEDs. They did the Ring Brothers hood hinges on this. Nobody had any billet trunk hinges out at the time. This was, like I said, 6-7 years ago when we first started ordering parts for this car. So we did have to still use the stock. Still use the stock ones, but there's something exceptional this guy does that other people's don't. The style lines and the flow of it just fit the car.
This is stellar, man, and I don't use that word lightly. This is fucking incredible, man. Now that I get a sense of what it is, and especially how friggin' exceptional this interior is, I want to sit in it, I want to drive it, I want to go for a cruise.
Definitely.
So we'll camera up the vehicle and we'll go. This is gonna be so bitchin', you guys. God.
Yeah, for an air ride car, it actually drives straight, doesn't wallow, it doesn't do any of the goofy, how some of the air ride cars, you're constantly trying to point more direction.
You ready to see how hard I get after it?
I'm ready.
Here we go. You okay with that?
Yeah, not a problem there. She's got a little bit more left in her.
Oh, I know, man. But dude, like something like that, how straight the car steers, the ride of the car, and then, man, back to Elegance. What's the exact name?
It's Elegance Auto Upholstery.
Elegance Auto Upholstery. This is such now that, inside my shop, it's not the best lit. The stitching is flawless on this car. The fitment of everything is flawless.
That's one thing I've had so many interiors done, I can't even count. When you look across a straight line dash like that and you see no dips, no pressure points where they foamed it.
No movement of the stitching
and
whatsoever.
Again, this car's got 4 years of life under it. Most of those custom upholsteries, after a year or two in the sun or sitting around, you start seeing a little bit of failure points, or you start seeing a little bit just out of shape. Nothing that's wrong with the interior, it's just maybe you started to kind of deform or conform to something else.
No, the
this thing
fitment's
holds
flawless in
so
here.
well.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And the driving of it is wonderful. And I got to tell you, dude, this is a testament to manual brakes, because I think too many people have experienced manual brakes that were not properly set up, The braking on this, if I didn't know, I would swear it was like at least an assisted brake.
Yeah.
I've been in manual brake cars where even for a slow speed stop, you're really having to dig.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to straight leg it to get the thing to come down.
Man.
Now this car, you can just put your foot pressure on it. It comes to a stop, and when you really get on it, you can leg it and get the thing wound down, no problem. Oh yeah, yeah, without a doubt.
It's very quiet. You and I aren't having to yell or anything, but then as soon as I dig a little bit,
yeah, it'll make some noise. But what's nice is there's no drone. You don't get that absolute echo in the cabin.
Not at all.
You can roll the windows up, turn the stereo on, and actually be able to sit in this car for 3 hours if you want to jump on the highway and go.
Dude, it's just great job, bro.
Thank you.
I mean, it's the first experience I've had with you, your shop, what you guys do. This is one of those I'd be out in every weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to venture to guess, you know, and you don't have to say dollar amounts. We used to try to talk dollars, but I don't think it's very respectful to the owner of the car. He might not want his wife to know. No, I only spent $50,000 building it.
You know, that's one thing we actually hold solid on with our shop, and it's all just for the purpose of respect to the customer.
Like, I got zero question unless your shop rate's considerably lower than I give it credit for. I got to imagine there's somewhere at least $250,000 into this car. Leave it alone, dude. I know, I get it. You don't, out of respect.
If you built the same car,
all the components that make up this car.
If you built this car today compared to 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever it was, you'd be hard pressed to get it done under 225 for sure.
No doubt about it, dude. So there's such a bitch and power range on this, dude, and that was about, at best, that was half throttle on it, you know?
Yeah, after you kicked it down in
it's
the
such
second,
a nice, you know, if I wanted more extreme, I mean, obviously you got to bump it up a little bit first, but for something like this that's an elegant, beautiful, really more of a cruiser muscle car, dude.
We were trying to tie together. I didn't want any one thing to be over the top over the other. Obviously, the interior really, truthfully, is the over the top part of the car.
Totally.
The motor definitely, you know, obviously when we started with this, the original build thought was an LS1. It wouldn't have got it done. Obviously, with the Magnuson, that makes a huge improvement.
Totally.
You know, gaining 100, probably 100, 125, you know, just bolting on the Magnuson.
Sure.
So that definitely adds to the fun factor of the car.
Bang off the rev limiter, little tire smell. You can smell that smell I love so much. That, my friends, is what you call a perfectly built cruiser. The look of it is flawless, beautiful, plenty of power to still get a burnout going. The stance is right, the wheels are right, and truly one of the most exceptional interiors I have ever seen in my life. Absolutely, just really genuinely love this car. So, as always, man, I gotta say a big, huge thanks for hanging and watching what we do over here. And I will see you in the next episode. All right, man, later.